Hello, I'm Emma B. Perez, life design and career coach for teens and young adults. This Empower Your Teen YouTube channel is all about supporting parents. To learn how your high school or college age child can go from undecided to excited, click the link in the description box. To get even more support as a parent, just stick around by subscribing and clicking the notification bell. Okay, let's get to today's topic. Welcome back to Empower Your Teen. I've got another tips and tricks video for you today, and in this video we are going to be talking about sleep. Now, we all know how important sleep is, and many of us know how detrimental sleep deprivation can be. Sleep deprivation can lead to stress, anxiety, depression, and even in some unfortunate cases, it can actually lead to suicide. So getting the recommended amount of sleep is really, really important. Unfortunately, the CDC tells us that more than 2 out of 3 high school students do not get the recommended amount of sleep. And you might be saying, well, yeah, we know that. Kids stay up late, right? They stay up late working on homework, and sometimes they stay up late even when they don't have homework to do late into the night, and then they gotta get up and go to school in the morning. So we know this, and it's not ideal, right? Because they already have a lot of stress with keeping up grades. Sometimes they've got extracurriculars and or work on top of that, the college application process on top of that. And then when they go off to college, we now have a whole new physical environment, a whole new learning environment, new people, etc., etc. So they've already got a lot to deal with, and adding sleep deprivation on top is just really not helpful. And so you're probably saying, yeah, but my kid stays up late and they've got a lot to do, or they just won't go to sleep. So I do want to talk about that in a little bit more detail. I want to talk about what is recommended for adolescents. Right? Because a lot of us understand that the recommended amount is 6 to 8 hours of sleep, but that's what's recommended for adults. Now, we recall from when our kids were little that kids do need more sleep than adults, and depending on their age, when they're little, it's around 12 hours. So what is this transition and shift really all about? When we're talking about when they're little, they need around 12 hours, but as adults, they only need about 7 hours. When does that kick in? At what age is 6 to 8 the appropriate amount? Well, it turns out not until they're in their 20s. As adolescents, including 18 and 19 years old, they still need more sleep than adults. And the recommended amount for adolescents is 8 to 10 hours of sleep. Okay? So when they're getting less than the recommended, it's anything less than 8 hours. So even 7 and 6 doesn't cut it. Now, when we talk about the amount of sleep, that's only half the story. When they sleep is actually really important as well. The American Association of Pediatrics tells us that when we hit puberty, our sleep-wake cycles shift up to 2 hours later. So let's dig into that a little bit. We all have natural circadian rhythms, natural sleep-wake cycles. And for the average adult, melatonin kicks in sometime between 9 and 11 o'clock at night. So that's actually the ideal fall asleep window for adults. Now, we're all different. Some of us are night owls, some of us are morning larks. So it's always a little bit different. But generally speaking, based on human physiology, 9 to 11 is about when melatonin kicks in. However, as adolescents, all of those cycles and everything are shifted up to 2 hours later. So that means melatonin isn't really kicking in until about 11 to 1 a.m. for teenagers. That's why it's so difficult for them to get to sleep before 11 o'clock at night, even if they don't have a bunch of homework to do late into the night. So let's think about all of that for a second, okay? The ideal fall asleep window for them is 11 to 1, and the ideal amount of sleep for them is 8 to 10 hours. So on average, the ideal sleep window for a teenager is midnight to 9 a.m. So think about that. Think about that with your child's schedule. This is why so many teenagers are sleep deprived. You know, when I was doing college and career workshops, there were schools that I went to that started at 7 a.m. in the morning. So these teenagers were getting up at 5 a.m. to be ready for a 7 a.m. class. That is equivalent to asking an adult to get up at 3 a.m. to go to work at 5 a.m. Now, I know a lot of adults do that, and I know there are even some that don't really struggle with that. Again, some people are morning larks, right? But it is still generally understood that that's less ideal than getting up at 7 for a 9 a.m. job, right? For adults. So when we're asking kids to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning, that would be like asking an adult to get up at 3 o'clock in the morning. And asking them to go to sleep before 11 is really challenging as well. So if you can, take a look at your child's schedule and see if you can shift things later anywhere at all. And I know for some people that just may not be an option. What everyone can do is, if there is time for extra sleep for your child, let them have it, whether it's sleeping in on the weekend or even taking naps, because that recommended amount doesn't necessarily have to be in one solid chunk. It's within a 24-hour period. So if they have the chance to grab some naps, to sleep in on some days, let them have it. Let them have it. It's only going to improve their mood, their well-being, their health. It's only going to improve things for them, even if it's just a little bit. There have been studies that have shown schools that start later, even by 30 minutes, improves grades across the board. So even if it's just a little bit extra here and there, their well-being will be improved, their grades might even be improved, their mood will be improved, it'll just be better for them. So see if you can find any extra sleep for your teen this week or this weekend. Have a good one.